I am Jeff Foxworthy, and welcome to Gamekeeper Podcast. If you want to learn more about farming for wildlife and habitat management, then, buddy, you are in the right place. Join the Gamekeeper crew direct from Mossy Oak Land Enhancement Studio as they discuss the latest wildlife and habitat management practices, news, and, of course, hunting. There's no telling what you'll learn, but I'm going to tell you, I bet it's interesting. Enjoy.
We're live in 3, 2, 1.
All right, guys. I'm looking around the room. This one is going to be
fun.
Be a fun one.
Fun's the word.
Right. That's exactly the right word. Looking at Cuz over there on the couch with us, joined us today.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah. Hell, the gang's all here.
That's right. Look, nobody better to come visit with than Jeff Foxworthy. You know, I shared a camp with him, and I ain't told all them stories yet.
Oh, good.
That's perfect time.
Well, neither has he, though, Cuz. I see that look on his face.
That's right. That goes both ways, Cuz.
Don't be threatening him.
Yeah. So, obviously, we got Toxie here. He's back. We missed you the last couple of podcasts.
We did miss you the last couple of podcasts.
Yeah.
Been busy.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah. Lanny's here. Dudley's here. Richie's on the board over there. Richie.
Chairman of the board,
Yeah.
Richie.
Yeah. Mitchell's in the house.
Yeah.
Hey, Jackson's here. He was no longer an intern.
No.
He is what is he, Richie?
He's a part-time.
Part-time employee.
Yeah. Doesn't he need to find something to do?
Look at him.
Richie, instead of sitting on the couch over there?
It's a research and development. Run and do.
Yeah. And then, guys, through the magic of Zoom, we've got Mr. Jeff Foxworthy.
That's exactly.
Gamekeeper extraordinaire.
Is an internship there? Is it a paying position, or is it you're just blessed to be there kind of deal?
It's paying, but they don't pay us a lot to do it.
I've been on a 30-year intern program. I'll tell you what, yeah, I mean, this Zoom is amazing. You know, Bobby, what do you think? Huh?
It's George Jetson kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's futuristic.
Who made was it Alexander Graham Bell? You think you'd ever see it coming this far?
I don't know.
No, I'm with Toxie. I think the Jetsons called that.
Yeah.
So Alexander Graham Bell invented the phone.
Yeah.
But I think his brother I'm just a lot more interested in what his brother did these days than what Alexander. He didn't get enough credit for what he did.
What did he do, Bobby? I mean,
his brother Taco.
oh my God.
Oh, here we go. Just because Jeff's on here. I mean, you don't.
I'm so embarrassed.
on, dude.
Of all people to tell the worst joke you've ever heard in front of.
I like how Laney set them up.
Yeah, thank you, Larry. Yeah.
How long have you been planning that one?
Well, since we had lunch at Hardee's.
The worst cornball in history.
Jeff, how have you been? We haven't seen you in a while. What's going on in your world?
I've been good. Wintertime's my busy time doing shows. So I've been on the road a bunch the last 3 or 4 months. And then I've been taking care of my 89-year-old mother and my 2 little perfection grandchildren, alternating back and forth on those 2. My grandson last night at dinner started crying because they were showing a video and I was in it, and he realized he ain't seen me since Thursday because we had to go to Amelia Island for a wedding. He realized he ain't seen me since Thursday. He started crying at the dinner table. I wish Jex would come over. And so what do you think Jex did?
When came
Jex
over.
saw that video?
He came over.
Yeah.
And we lay in his bed, and we were supposed to be reading books, but we were looking at pictures of tractors online.
That's what I'm talking about.
That is, I mean, I just
I
kept Neil's 2 all weekend. Me and Diane did while they had to go somewhere. And then today I ate lunch with the girls from West Point and went home and took a nap with them real quick before I came back up here.
All right.
Same thing. And I've been, last night I took flowers to my 90-year-old mom to cheer her up. It's almost a parallel listening to him talk about it.
True.
How about that?
Absolutely, yeah. I used to do a whole bit about that, you got to worry. Both of them are in diapers,
Yeah, a correction.
It's just a lot more bearable with the little ones than the big ones.
It is.
I mean, you don't want to be sitting there watching football with your father-in-law going, Ed, good God, Ed, come on, so, but Life's good, man. I'm enjoying this season of life. I got a new tractor being delivered tomorrow.
Oh man, what?
That is one of the greatest days in life. Is the day the new tractor.
Oh my gosh,
100%.
You don't think Black Betty will be jealous?
Black Betty might be. This one is a 155 horsepower John Deere. So and my grandson Ronan and I decided we were going to call it the Hulk because it was big, strong, and green.
There you go.
I like that.
I like that. You know, the first time I got something of any size whatsoever, and it wasn't that big, but we nicknamed it Fenway because the big green monster.
Big green monster. I like it.
Yeah.
So we still, to this day, when I took my grandson this weekend, we were on Fenway.
All right.
How about that? Well, we always introduce Jeff as our favorite gamekeeper.
Yeah.
And I jotted down some things that we've got in common with Jeff. Now y'all will probably add to this, but we all love to hunt and fish.
Yeah.
Jeff loves to hunt and fish.
Right.
We all love to laugh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love being a gamekeeper and taking care of the land.
100%.
Yeah, we all have Gamekeeper edition bows. Jeff has got one as well.
Okay.
We love bottomland.
Yes, we do.
We love tractors.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love artifacts, Native American artifacts. Jeff is a fanatic about that. Jeff runs a lot of cameras. I think he's got Spartans as well. We run Spartans.
Okay.
Got tons of Spartans. Yes, sir.
And he comes up with the best names for his deer.
He does have the best names for his deer.
Every year they've got like a theme.
Yeah.
And I'd love, what's this year's theme?
I've been working on it. Bobby, they laugh at me. I've got on my phone, I've got a list that's probably got, 200 deer names on it. Last year, it was all like Civil War generals and stuff. This year, I'm thinking about going with famous linebackers, so we could have like Nitschke and Urlacher and things like that. But yeah, every year I kind of pick a thing. Yep. But last year we had Stonewall and General Lee and all of them. So
It's fun naming them.
Sit where you are. I just found the best artifact I'm ever going to find. I'll show it.
Oh, cool.
That's a heavy company right now because he's picked up.
Oh my gosh.
You got it framed.
Look at that.
Dudley, you're going to have to tell us what this is.
Wow. What?
Oh my goodness. That is huge.
That is amazing.
And what state did that come out of?
How did that stay?
Look how big that is.
That thing's huge.
How did it stay intact in this world? Wow.
You tell me. But I'm glad it did. Only my laundry man knows for sure how excited I was.
So have you look? Or can you at least tell us the state?
No,
It's Texas.
Oh wow!
Don't ask me to be any more specific.
He was just going with the biggest thing he could think of to throw you off, Bobby.
Yeah.
Does that point, do you know if it has like a specific, what type of point is that? Do you know?
A big one.
It is called a base tang knife.
Base tang knife.
Probably about 6,000 years old.
Okay.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Jeff is really into the artifact stuff.
Yes, he is.
Jeff, did you know that 80% of archaeologists are female or women?
Are you serious? I had no idea.
Yeah, they're so good at digging up the past.
Oh my gosh.
What got into you?
Y'all are just setting
We'll
me
be
up.
right back, folks, after these messages.
So
He's trying to infringe a little bit.
I thought about this whole thing, and Bobby wants to go on today, and I was thinking the expression of, I just don't feel comfortable taking a water pistol to a gunfight. when we're telling jokes around Jeff, but Bobby's like, he took a water pistol to a nuclear war.
Yeah.
Yeah, he ain't scared one bit.
Oh, he is not scared.
Look, one of these days I might get to open up for Jeff. Wouldn't that
That'd
be
be
fun?
huge.
Yeah.
You mean open up the gate when you go to your place?
So you go to the dummy line.
Hey, listen, Bobby and I will always be tight because Bobby's consecutive year turkey string was down to last day.
Yes.
Minutes.
Of being done, down to last day.
It was.
And he he got me as his guide, and we kept that dadgum thing intact.
Had to call in the pro.
Yeah, it was bad. We were hoping for him to get the big goose egg that year. You broke up a no-no in the ninth.
Yeah.
I did 2 outs in the ninth, and little check swing. It's check swing single, right?
Yep, it did.
That season really did change your attitude. You were a different person.
That's right.
It was humbling.
I remember you shooting one out from under landing when he hadn't killed one all year and didn't bother you a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, that still wouldn't bother him now.
So let me tell this on Jeff. So he knew how important this was to me. And that morning he shows up in the dark to pick me up, and he's wearing an orange vest and an orange cap.
Let's go.
Only in America.
And had a harmonica with me.
Oh, me. Well,
It worked.
Jeff, we want to talk to, we got several things we want to ask you about. We want to ask you about the snake bite, but before we get started, there's one story about you that it tickles me, and it goes back to you being in high school in a basketball game that made, I think, maybe Life magazine. Could you tell that story?
Sports Illustrated did a thing on it. So when you hear anybody talk about how they were as an athlete in high school, nobody says they were bad, right? Everybody was all county or all state, or nobody says I sat on the bench, I never played. But I was a decent football and baseball player, but I was a terrible basketball player. Just terrible. So Larry Burns and I, we never got in the game. We'd always be ready. We would practice unsnapping, like the top to get it off in case we ever got called. And we were playing somebody one night, and we were either getting beat really bad or beating them really bad. But they started in the first half in the stands. We want Fox. We want Fox. We want Fox. And it went on all till there was like 2 minutes left in the game. It was their constant cry. We want Fox. We want Fox. And my coach called timeout and looks down the bench, points at me, says Foxworthy, and I stand up and I've got the jacket off and the pants off, and I go run down there, and I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Go up there in the stands and see what they want." So I ran across the court and ran up there and sat with them. 2 minutes left in the game, and then they started, "We got Fox. We got Fox." And the Sports Illustrated did a little thing on it. It was called "Ask and Ye Shall Receive," and because they thought that was so. And I never did get in the game. I just went up there and sat with them until the game was over. And I honestly thought, because I was maybe 16 then, I thought that may be the only time I ever get my name in a paper or magazine was from being terrible at something. And little did I know that wasn't the only time.
No, I'm going to say there was at least one more.
Yeah.
That's a good story.
Wow. There was one or two more.
It's so funny that, literally, it's so funny that, the times we've gone to see him perform, you have to, I have to cover my ears up, literally, because I'm about to throw up. But it's always funnier, the real life stories. You and your whole gang, your brother, Larry, everybody.
No, they're a
Glenn,
crew now.
The whole crew, to me, is funnier than what you have to perform for people. That's the coolest thing of all.
Now in camp, you're laughing the whole time.
Oh, my God.
They're brutal to each other.
Yeah, they are brutal to each other.
It's a full contact sport. I thought we had the full contact sport, but no.
No.
Y'all invented it.
If they're not mean to you, they don't love you.
That's exactly what I say.
That's not a good sign. So.
Well, let me tell this little story real quick. When we first got hooked up and we started coming over there, this goes back a long time, but Larry Burns, he's so serious all the time, but he is so quick and brutally with the jokes. He is just unbelievable. I don't know how you stay around. Y'all been friends for forever.
You trained him. Of course he does.
So
we've been friends since the 5th grade.
Yep.
And to the point, when I started comedy, I'd been doing it a year or two. and I called Larry. I said, "Hey, if you'll quit your job and come join me, we can be a comedy team, and I'll go back to the starting line and do this with you." But he had kids at that point, and a good job, and he couldn't do it. But Larry, so it's funny, like when I do podcast about comedy, they always go, "So who's the funniest person you know?" Well, I said, "Well, most of them aren't comedians. It's people like Larry, my childhood best friend and my manager now, and my brother, and the guy that's the manager of my farm. I mean, the funniest people I know have never been comedians. They're just guys I hang out with.
They're the funniest people I know.
Oh, when they're all together, it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, they can stay with him toe to toe.
So toe to toe,
big time.
So let me tell this. So this was early on, and Glenn was putting on a dove shoot. Jeff was out of town working, and the rest of them were there.
Oh yeah,
Larry was there, and so I had a dog that was about 18 months old that has anxieties. That when he's around a lot of people, he just gets really nervous.
Copper.
Yes, when he was young. And So there was a bunch of guests there, Jeff. And Larry was there entertaining, and I had Copper right by. I was trying just to keep my hands near him, because we wouldn't bite somebody or whatnot. So he gets away from me for a few minutes, and we're all standing around talking. All of a sudden, you hear this god-awful noise, and he's chewing something, and it's plastic, and it's loud. And Larry Burns screams across there in the camp, and he says, "Oh my God, Copper's got Jeff's Emmy." And so my first thought, Jeff won an Emmy? I'm thinking. But Larry did that to me. It scared me to death. I thought y'all would laugh at that.
I was laughing because I knew the second you told it, Larry was what he was doing. He's so quick.
Oh, he's so fast.
And brutal.
What was he chewing on?
A plastic water bottle. It was so loud too.
Yeah, we didn't keep the Emmy in camp. For the Deer of the Year, we had a trophy made, and it was a big gold cup with the letter D engraved on it, and it was called the D Cup.
I remember.
That was
Foxworthy Outdoors. I remember it. It was quite the ceremony too.
Yeah. What were some of the teams called?
Quite the ceremony. The D Cup. Yeah.
And y'all had y'all were divided into two teams.
The Killbillies and the Thump Monkeys.
That's right.
I was a Thump Monkey. The Killbillies were Glenn and Larry and I were Thump Monkeys, and Ned, and then the rest of them were Killbillies. And Killbillies would steal your broadheads, your binoculars, your rangefinders. We kind of had a deal. If you said the name Killbilly, you had to spit on the ground afterwards. they were
so let me guess.
Low rent.
Glenn was a first-round draft choice every time.
Oh, hell yeah, because Glenn knew where all the big deer were.
That's right.
And the Killbillies won the D Cup every single year.
Amazing.
The Thump Monkeys won it every single year. Killbillies didn't have a chance because we knew where all the big deer were.
Oh, my goodness. All right, let's do this. At this juncture, Jeff, we have something that we call rapid fire. Dudley's going to ask you some questions. We'll get some of your thoughts real quick. So,
okay,
brought to our buddies at Nutrient Ag Services.
Nutrient Ag.
Yeah,
right.
Jeff, I think you may have done this before, but we got a new set of questions for you. So, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
What is your favorite movie?
Gladiator.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Name 2 of your favorite months of the year.
September, because that's opening day of dove season and opening day of bow season in Georgia, and November, because that's the rut.
There you go. Okay, Mexican cornbread or regular cornbread?
Regular cornbread with black-eyed peas on top of it.
Ooh. Name the last species of fish you remember catching.
A largemouth bass.
What is your all-time favorite deer meat preparation?
Glenn Garner's back strap that is butterflied with a strip of jalapeno and a little cream cheese wrapped in bacon.
That We have had that. It is insane.
Put it on top of your head. Your tongue will beat your brains out trying to get to it.
All right. Have you ever once worn a bolo?
Yes.
That
was what? Well, and I'll tell you why. Because back in my early days of comedy, I was trying to figure out what my look was on stage, and I went through a little period of time where I wore like a jeans, a black jacket, and a bolo tie.
Okay.
It didn't last.
The more we know.
Grew out of it.
Okay. Which Braves World Series year was more memorable for you? 95 or 21?
21 was such a great surprise. That one was really fun. 95, there was so much pressure built up from coming so close all the years before that it was kind of just finally a relief.
Okay.
So I'll say 21. 21 was just fun.
Good answer. Spicy boiled peanuts or regular boiled peanuts?
No boiled peanuts.
Okay. From this,
I don't like boiled peanuts.
That is, I mean, yeah, you've got an asterisk by your name for that.
Okay, whatever.
All right. From this list, pick two separate weekends away from home with your friends. Artifact hunting, shed hunting, fishing trip, or deer camp. Pick two.
Deer camp and artifact
There
hunting.
you go. Last but not least, is Bobby Cole a good turkey hunter, or does he just have a lot of friends who are good hunters?
It's a combo. Bobby has a lot of friends that have land with good turkeys on them. And so, when you get to go to the good spots, as they say, a blind hog finds an acorn every once in a while. So,
Okay. I agree with you on that. Good answer.
Hey, you know what? This is the point of our whole living here is to help people make up good spots for whatever they have.
That's
For
right.
sure.
That's right.
Okay, hey, that's the secret to life, Toxic.
Yeah,
is-
100%.
Yeah.
Yep. 1,000,000%.
Love it.
Those are good.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Thank
Very
you.
good, as always.
So, look, we've got. There's one story we got to hear, and we're coming into the snake season. Cuz you're just gonna have to bear with it. I know you. None of us like snakes. You
No
especially
pictures. That's all
don't
I
like
got to
snakes.
say. No pictures.
Nobody in history has the phobia like this man right here, though. Nobody.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Jeff, could you? A few years ago, a while back, you got bit by a copperhead. Could you tell that story and what all?
I got bit, and cuz I'm right there behind you. Like I can't stand the things. They talk about them in Genesis. All the problems in the world are because of a damn snake, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, and it's funny, Bobby, because I've spent my life in the woods, around docks, fishing in weeds on the edge of a lake. I don't think I've ever come close to being bitten by a snake. And 2 summers ago, we split time between, we got a house in Atlanta and the farm. We kind of split time. So, but the place where our house is in Atlanta, there's a lot of old trees, big old trees and stuff. And the power lines are still above ground. They're not underground. And so anytime we have a storm here, there's always a tree or a limb falling on the power lines and the power goes out. And so after dealing with that for a while, my wife and I said, you know what, we're biting the bullet. We're going to get us a generator. So we got a generator, and I wake up one night about 3:00 in the morning and I hear the generator running. And I thought, well, that's weird because it ain't storming. And the generator cut off. I thought, well, hell, maybe it was just testing itself or whatever. Well, about 5 minutes later, it cuts back on. I'm like, dadgummit. So I get up, I got on a T-shirt, little shorts, I'm barefooted, and I grab a flashlight and I grab my phone in case I got to watch a YouTube video on how do you fix a jacked up generator, right? I mean, because YouTube, you can fix anything with a YouTube video. It's kind of like the patient father none of us had. You can actually learn to fix something with a YouTube video.
True story.
And, is that not true? I mean,
Oh,
the only thing I
100%.
learned,
100%.
the only thing I learned watching my daddy was how to cuss. I mean, and he was good at it. So I go out, and the generator is like on the side of the house. There's a set of stairs going down to the basement level. The generator's down on the basement level. So when I step on the top step, I step right on top of a copperhead who bites me on top of the foot. And when I tell this, people always go, "Did you see the snake?" I'm like, yeah, I'm barefooted, and I thought, there's a poisonous snake, so why don't we roll the dice, step on him, and see what happens? So
here's your sign.
I didn't see it, and I don't blame him for biting me. I stepped on him, but it is my property, and he's trespassing. So if the cops show up, he ain't got a leg to stand on. I'm gonna say that. So, and Glenn Garner's funny. Like Glenn told me later, he goes, "I'm kind of jealous," and I said, "Why?" He goes, "I kind of always wanted to know what a snake bite felt like." And it felt like an electric shock. I didn't even realize I'd been bitten. I thought maybe the generator was shorting out. That's what it felt like an electric shock. I kind of hopped and went down a couple of stairs. I looked down, and I got 2 holes in the top of my foot with blood rolling out of them. And I shined the flashlight up there, and he's laying there, and he ain't got no remorse about it at all. So, and so I know I'm probably got to go to the hospital. And I thought, I know it's a copperhead because, like I said, I've spent my life in the woods, but I thought if I get to the hospital, they're going to ask me. So I pull my phone out, and I take his picture. He's like doing games. And then I realized now I got 3 problems. I got a jacked up generator, I got a snake bite on my foot, and a live poisonous snake between me and the top of the stair. And I'm like, okay, so I realized, okay, I slipped out of bed. I didn't wake my wife up. So I called my wife, and, it rang about 7 times. She's like, "Hello." And I'm like, "Hey, baby," I said, "will you do me a favor?" And she's like, "Oh, for God's sakes, I got a headache. It's the middle of the night." And I'm like, I said, not that favor. I got a different. So I said, "Bring me a shovel." And bless her heart, she did. So she come around the side of the house, handed me the shovel over the railing there. And my friend from California, when I told him this, he said, "Were you able to relocate the snake?" I'm like, "Yes, I was. I relocated all 4 pieces of him to a cardboard box that I threw in the trash can. So I was able to dispatch the snake, as they would say. And by the time I got up the top of the stairs, it's starting to hurt now and starting to puff up. And I said to my wife, I said, "I think I need to go to the hospital." And she said, "Well, let me call 911. And she called 911. They told her, "Don't bring him to the hospital because very few hospitals have anti-venom. We'll call around, find out who's got anti-venom. We'll send an ambulance." And so when the ambulance guys get there, before they even do anything, they make me sign a waiver saying if my insurance don't pay for the ambulance, I'll pay for it out of pocket. And it's like $2,500. But I'm like, hell, I ain't in a position to negotiate right now. My foot's the size of a pumpkin. So I signed the thing. And as they're loading me in the ambulance, I'm not making this up. The guy goes, "Hey, Mr. Foxworthy," he goes, "we ain't never had a snake bite before." He said, "We ain't got no idea what's going to happen to you. He goes, "Do you want us to turn the lights on?" And I'm like, "For $2,500, hell yeah, turn the lights on, crack up the siren, open the back door. I'll moon people going down the interstate. I want my money's worth out of this." So We get to the hospital. I'm in the emergency room. Guy comes in there and looks at it, and he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "That's snake bite." He said, "Any chance you know what kind of snake it was?" And I was so proud of myself because I'd taken the picture, and I said it was a copperhead, and I show him the picture, and he goes, "Yeah, that's copperhead." He said, "Unfortunately, it's not full grown. That's a juvenile." And I said, "Well, why is that a problem?" He said, "Well, full-grown snakes, usually on the first strike, they do what's called a dry bite. They just trying to let you know, I'm here, get away from me." He said they don't put any venom in. He said, but a juvenile can't control their venom, so when they strike, they just let it all go. He said, "You're going to need anti-venom." He said, "Unfortunately, it's really expensive."
Yes.
So, Cuz, take a guess, Cuz, what a vial of anti-venom costs.
$1,000.
$100,000.
Oh,
No,
Lord.
no, wait a minute. Is that because you're Jeff Foxworthy, or is that the real price? That's crazy.
That's that my bill for getting bit by a snake was $138,000.
You have you have got to be
And
kidding.
it's 4:00 in the morning. I can't call insurance
No.
and say, "Do you cover this?" There ain't nobody there. And when he said $100,000, my wife said, "If you didn't give it to him, would he die?" And I'm like, "What?" And the doctor's like, "Well, I mean, he probably wouldn't die, but he's going to get really sick and have a fever and be throwing up." He said, "Worst case, he could lose his foot." And she goes, "Yeah, but he wouldn't die." Right? I'm like, "Quit negotiating with my foot. It's called stand-up comedy. I need two of them down here." So they give me the thing, and they put me in a room, and they come in like every hour or two, and they're drawing with a Sharpie. They're drawing a line on my leg, how far it's kind of turning blue and the swelling. And so they're writing the time down on the line, as they draw it. And every time they leave, my wife's like, "They draw the line so they know where to cut it off." The doctor came in, I don't know, half a day later, and he said, "Okay, good news is the anti-venom worked," because they try to keep it below your knee. And he said, "The anti-venom worked." He said, "Better news is we talked to the insurance company, and they're going to cover the whole thing." Whew. And my wife goes, "Well, we didn't care about the money. We just wanted it." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're the one that's like, if you don't give it to him, will he die?"
Yeah.
But I recover. But here's the best thing, Bobby. So when I was laying there in the emergency room, I knew people were going to hear I got bit by a snake. So while I'm killing time, I go Google worst snake bite ever. And it's some guy in Africa that got bitten by a black mamba, and his entire leg is like gangrene and the meat's falling off the calf, and you can see in his leg. And I took a picture of it and then kind of edited it down where it just looked like it could be my leg. And so when people would text me, "I heard you got bit by a snake," I would just send them that picture of that black leg with the meat falling off the calf. And I said, "Yeah, I've got antibiotics. It's feeling a little better." And about half the people thought that was really my leg.
Oh my God!
I rest my case on the stories over the performance.
Better man than me, because that would have been a body recovery for me.
Oh yeah, he would have been. He would have coded for sure instantly.
Because I want to tell you. So my daughter, because we got security cameras, my daughter went and found it on the moment of the strike on the security camera.
Oh wow!
And I took it like a man. I mean, I didn't.
Yeah, you're a better man. You're a way better man than me.
Yeah.
So you got to tell this one story. He's got a couple of snake stories that is why he is, but not the one where you kicked the case shut inside your house and a rattlesnake was in your bow case, but the one when you were slipping up to the food plot right at dark to see if he could shoot a doe or something out of the food plot and put his.
Yeah,
Remember? Put your hand down on the log. Tell that one real quick.
Yeah, I was slipping out of this place bow hunting. I was bow hunting with a kid and his dad, and they had Cherry Grove Plantation, beautiful. And this guy was a farmer, so he had corn planted, and I hadn't seen nothing up in the woods. So I said, I'm going to slip down there and glass that cornfield. And it was already gotten too dark to shoot. And we just had a big rainstorm, and I'm easing down this ridge, and there's a big red oak that had fallen across the trail where I needed to go. But I could straddle it. And so I did, and I threw my leg over. And when I set my hand down to straddle it, to cross it, I immediately knew I had put my hand on a snake. And I mean, there was no question. And the next few minutes are a blur, but I was out at the road, and the guy come to pick me up. I was sweating. He said, "Where's your stuff?" And I told him, I said, "I don't really know." And I told him what happened. He said, "Man, you crazy." And I'll never forget, he got a big black mag light, like the cops. And we went back to that tree, and it was a copperhead, and it was as big as a copperhead as you've ever seen.
Oh, my goodness.
Sitting in the same spot. Now, on the back side of that tree was my summit climbing stand, just laying on the ground. About 10 feet past that, on the other side, was my bow, which was somehow hooked on a limb and just hanging. And another 10 feet down the trail was my fanny pack still buckled. I ran.
But he blacked out.
Yeah, I just kind of freaked out a little bit. But
Slightly.
I've had so many close calls with him. It's crazy. But you took it like a man. I would have screamed, and then they would have had to lift me out of there in a helicopter. So you're a better man than I am.
Well, people always ask me, Jeff, where do you get these redneck jokes and stuff? So, about 10 days ago, my oldest daughter, who is 33, calls me at 10:30 at night, and she FaceTimes me, and she said, "Dad, need you to look at this." She goes, "Do I need stitches?" And she's got she got several cuts on her hand, but she's got this rip on the back of her hand. And I said, "Good Lord, honey, how'd you do that?" "I don't want to tell you." I said, why don't you? She goes, "'Cause you're going to fuss at me." I said, "I ain't going to fuss." You start lying. I said, "I ain't going to fuss at you." What happened? She said, "Well, I was pulling in my apartment complex, and a big possum ran across the road to the curb." And she said, "I had always read possums won't bite you. So I thought I'll get out, go pick it up, take a selfie with it, and send it to my friends." And whoever had written possums don't bite had lied. And this thing chomped down on her. And she just yesterday got her last rabies shot from getting bitten by a possum.
Oh, my goodness.
That's a bunch of, like 14 shots.
Well, it's like the old days. Now you don't have to get them in the stomach, but yeah, she had to go through the whole series of rabies shots.
Wow.
I got mine in the stomach. But anyway, he mentioned about telling jokes. I got to tell a quick Jeff Foxworthy story, because we're all big fans. And when we did our elk hunt that Tykes was supposed to go on, he couldn't make it. And Jeff, the reason...
I'm glad he couldn't. Yeah.
That was a fun time. But anyway, one of the reasons he's out there, he's speaking at the governor's gala, whatever it is. And he said, "Cuz, come go with me." And this was the biggest, most fanciest thing you have ever seen. There were two people there that didn't have a tuxedo on, him and me. Luckily, I took my camera, and I was acting like I was his personal cameraman. But and I was like, whatever. I've heard everything he's ever said, from the blue collar to everything. He went up there and did over 60 minutes of just Mormon jokes, and those people were laying in the aisle. I've never laughed so hard in my life. And I'm like, I asked him, I said, "Where'd you get that material?" He said, "Well, I thought of some of it while I was up there on the mountain elk hunting." And I'm like, God gives out talent in thimbles and buckets. And you were clearly there on bucket day. How you could change your material that fast, that's why you're a pro. I just want to tell people, you are the real deal. That was just something to watch.
Well, that's very kind. The truth of the matter is, I'm 2 decisions from drywalling.
I love that line.
Hey, what's the total truth, Toxie?
I know.
That's what I'd be doing now.
But you could write a whole book to inspire people to pick themselves up by their, their britches straps or whatever and get on with life. And you can say it in that one little phrase and it encapsulates everything.
Yeah. I mean, it's the truth. And ain't nothing wrong with drywalling. I've done a bunch of it, but yeah, I don't know why. I feel like the most blessed guy on the planet Earth because I don't know why I can do this, so I can't take credit for it. It's just a gift from God. But I have made a living doing something I would have done for free. Larry Burns tells me not to tell people that.
I bet he does.
But I've just enjoyed it so much, and because of being successful at it, I mean, I have a farm, which I never would have dreamed I'd have a place like that.
Amen.
And I can go buy a new tractor, and life is beautiful. It's a great thing.
Sometimes good things happen to good people.
Well, you're the perfect person. I don't like the word spokesperson or whatever, just being himself to illustrate to people the great value of any little thing, having your place, your own little piece of dirt. Don't measure it against his or mine or someone. Just, it could be an acre, it could be 4 acres, it could be a couple of 100 acres, but there's something about it that connecting with stuff. And I mean, that's all the whole point about being a gamekeeper, connecting with the stuff God gave us to take care of. It's just something spiritual. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
I got to ask you a question, Toxie. So when you're working on the farm, like we've been, in the last month, we put our garden in and we've been planting and everything. I come home one night and my fingernails are just awful. They're just, black all under.
Yeah, what fingernails on me?
Well, but my wife said to me, she goes, "Why don't you wear gloves?" And I said, "I just like feeling the dirt."
Yeah, I agree.
I don't, when I'm doing that stuff, I said, I just want to feel the dirt. I don't want gloves on. And that's probably weird, but
no, gloves are for, hooking up a hydraulic hose or changing your oil or something like that. But it's not.
I'll wear them for that. But
Yep.
if I'm doing something in the dirt, I don't want them on. I want to feel the dirt. I want to smell the dirt. I love the way dirt smells.
I do too. Yep.
Wow.
100%.
Before we leave the snake too far, I wanted to ask Jeff, did the doctors give you any advice like don't get bit again because we can only give you the antivenom one time in your life? I've always heard that. Is that a rumor?
No, that's what the guy told me. He said, you're only supposed to get this one time in your life. And then I was talking to a buddy of mine that's a vet, and he goes, dude, we give the exact same vial to hunting dogs that get bit, and we charge $1,200 for it. So anybody listening, if you get bit by a poisonous snake, go to the vet. Don't go to the hospital. You save yourself
100%.
almost $98,000 doing that.
Yeah, our dogs get a vaccine for it now. For snake bite. Yeah.
That's incredible.
I don't know what happens now if I get bit by one of those, 5-foot fatty rattlesnakes we got.
I think they're. I don't know. It seems like there's different antivenom per the kind of snake it is.
Yeah, I think depending rattlesnake versus pit viper.
Yeah, I think
versus those kind of things.
I'd make sure though.
Yeah. What? I know we got to leave the snake bite thing, but what was recovery like? I mean, was there pain? Just kind of wondering.
Yeah, but I mean, it probably was tender for a couple of weeks. Stayed swollen for about a week. It wasn't bad. Lord, I have kidney stones. Ain't nothing bad next to a kidney stone.
Amen,
Bobby.
Yeah. Well, so do you have a pair of snake boots now?
Yes. Well, I had a pair before, but you getting up at 3:30 in the morning, walking in your backyard. You don't. I just didn't think about it.
And even at night, I mean, you don't see as many snakes at night. I'm not as, I guess aware of them.
In the wee morning, like, barely breaking daylight. A week ago, I stepped within 2 inches of a cottonmouth in my garden.
Oh, really?
And yes,
I
only
out of all of them, and I don't know what Cuz would say, cottonmouths scare me the most.
100%.
Cottonmouths are the devil themselves.
Yeah, they're
They
just
are.
dirty.
They're the meanest.
Yeah, they're all
They're
the same.
They're the meanest. A rattlesnake usually tries to go away from you.
Yep.
A cottonmouth will come towards you.
Yeah, they're all the same to me. That goes for a rubber hose, piece of fan belt, the whole chain. I run from all of it. Look, I can handle Bigfoot, spiders, UFOs. None of that stuff bothers me. But a snake, it's just in you. And I'm glad you're okay. You, like I said, you took it way better than I would have.
Well, I'm kind of with you because I ain't really scared of rats or spiders or bugs or nothing, but I hate a snake, and that didn't do anything to change my opinion of it. I can tell you that.
I bet. I didn't know you'd gotten bitten by a snake. So, hey, your legend grows. By the way, I just did and I know you hear this stuff. You're such a wonderful person. I just did a podcast with this sheriff over in Arkansas who just got a Medal of Freedom, which is an unbelievable thing. And I sat down and did a 2-hour podcast with him and all that. And before we left, he said, "Cuz, did you really meet Jeff Foxworthy?" And I went, "Yes, I did." He said, "Well, if you ever see him again, please tell him hello." So from the sheriff that is just on my podcast, Sheriff Mike over there in Fordyce, Arkansas, hello. I'm going to tell him I mentioned it. But the impact you have on people, I know you hear it, but you don't see it because you can't see it. It's unbelievable, and it's always positive.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's very kind. Like I said, I am a blessed man. So,
well, they are gifts, and he knows there's a reason for those gifts too. And you just spoke about it. Yep.
Yeah.
And there's a responsibility with it.
100%.
You know, I mean, and so it's like some people's gifts is farming, and some people's gifts taking care of old people, and some people's gifts is cooking, or whatever your gift is. I think there's a responsibility to use it the right way. You know, there's a reason God gives you gifts, and so with mine, I'm like, okay, I got to do this in a way that I'm not going to embarrass my mama with something I say, but also to take that leverage that comes with it and use it for positive things, whether it's doing things for charity or whether it's doing things for the Lord and speaking, you know, in churches and things. I mean, there's the leverage that comes with that gift. It's a responsibility. The leverage that comes with owning property is a responsibility.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. Such a privilege.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff, what do you call two monkeys that have an Amazon account?
Oh, Lord.
What?
I don't know, Bobby. What do you call two monkeys that have an Amazon account?
Primates. I don't think Toxic gets that.
I get it. I actually, I don't get it.
Yeah, you can use.
Why would you do that?
You let him use that one too.
That's what I don't get.
Hey, Jeff, since Bobby's telling jokes with Jeff Foxworthy, I'm going to line him up. We're going to go do a golf clinic with Tiger Woods when we leave here.
Yeah, why don't you let Bobby show Tiger how to get one out of the sand?
There we go.
You know, Cuz has a great saying, because it's funny how, I mean, good gosh, I picked up so many from Bob Dixon, God rest his soul, but I picked up a lot from Cuz, and they're just kind of funny sayings or something, but it's like they're good life lessons, and I say it all the time about business, and it's like, don't guide the guide. That's a great saying in life in general. And I remember the first time he said, well, don't guide the guide. And, of course, that first thing comes to mind for hunters is, you go to the hunting camp somewhere or a paid lodge or something, and all of a sudden you're telling the guy that's lived his whole life there. But like going to your place and trying to tell Glenn how to pattern his deer, you know. But anyway, he said, that's what made me remember it. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, it's like this. I was watching ESPN the other day, and there was George Steinbrenner in a 3-piece suit on the practice field trying to show the guy that just won the Rookie of the Year how to bunt. That's guiding the guide.
Yeah.
You know where God and the Guide one time, Toxie, I was up in the Northwest Territories. We were bow hunting for mountain caribou, and it was one of them deals where you walked your butt off. And that first day, we probably hiked up that mountain 13 miles, and we were coming back. I was dead tired, and you could see the little lean-to cabin we had down at the bottom of the mountain, and there was a little lake around it. And I said, we stopped there to take a breath, and I said to the guide, I said, instead of going down this whole hill and then looping back around to the right, I said, why don't we just cut straight down? It'd be a lot shorter. And he said, yeah. He said, we could do that. He said, but straight down is all alders, and that's where the grizzly bears are. And I go, that's why you don't guide the guide.
That would be worse than a snake bite.
I'll go the long way.
Yeah,
for sure.
Cutting through the grizzly bear living room. So
Goodness gracious.
Absolutely.
Lanny, we're always in here. We always have these interesting guests, and you're always on your computer. What's up?
I'm looking at OnX the whole time. I love the app, but I love the desktop too.
My favorite thing is Bobby doesn't know how to shut his computer down,
Yeah.
so I can go in there and share his pins to my account.
That's what you were doing in there this morning.
Yep.
Back during deer season, I shot a couple of big bucks.
Of
But
course.
As I'm looking for them, I can
Couple.
turn on this tracking feature.
Yeah.
And I can see where I've looked.
And I use that feature too for spreading seeds, spreading fertilizer, spraying. It really keeps you on track.
OnX is a great company. Look, we know Jared. They're hunters,
They
just
are.
like we are. So
Yes,
they're
no
serious
doubt
about
about
this.
it.
The way they've designed this thing, a hunter and a gamekeeper can take advantage of it and make their property better.
Use coupon code Mossy to save 20% off of your OnX subscription.
Yeah, and Mac, you shouldn't do that now. Richie, you got to help me. Okay. What all have y'all got planned this summer on your property? I'd love to learn some things that you guys are doing to grow big deer. And what are you seeing that's being successful? What do y'all got planned?
we've done a lot. We did a lot of burning
Yes.
this year. Probably burned 800 acres this year.
Wow.
But we've also gone in and we just decided to thin trees. And you may not like this because I know y'all got all biologic and all that stuff, and I am a 100% believer in food plots. But I think the key to big deer is you have to have big native, and if you go back and you look at before food plots were ever a thing, there were areas where big deer always were. Well, they had great native, and so that was kind of our idea. Glenn and I were talking about it, and I said, man, we got some places where the canopy is so thick, sunlight ain't hitting the ground in there, and it's just a waste. I mean, it's just a wasteland. And so we went through and thinned out tons of trees, and let that sunlight hit the ground. And we're lucky because we have a lot of bicolor and partridge pea and stuff that is just really high in protein, and the deer love it. And the same idea with that burning is helping that native. And I think the food plots amplify it. The food plots help when you go through periods of drought like we've had the last few years. But the longer I do it, I'm like, you can't do, if all you have is food plots, you're cutting yourself short.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
100%. Well,
The native, and I don't care what you're trying to grow. I don't care if you're trying to attract ducks or, whatever. The native is just so important. So we really kind of concentrated on that the first part of the year between burning and thinning, and it's just let's go open some spots up and let sun hit the ground and let that native come back in there. And because my theory has always been, I don't worry about fences because I want my deer to not have a reason to ever leave the property.
Mm-hmm.
That's some good advice.
We preach all the time. start without thinking about any of that and maximize the carrying capacity of your base land, the habitat you have. And of course, he reminds us that as much as I love to look at pretty timber, and I've just pinched myself that I own any at all, you got to let sunlight hit the ground, especially for deer.
Yeah, and y'all have been doing that for years.
Yeah.
I remember, some of the older Foxworthy Outdoors episodes. Y'all have always focused on, getting it just really thick,
Yep.
Yeah. Well, you need combination. Deer are fringe creatures, so you need thick places, and you leave them alone. But you've got to have that, and really, we've always burned. We're kind of like on a 3-year rotation, trying to burn the whole place, but we hadn't cut trees in years, and it just got to the point. And I noticed it when I was shed hunting. I'm like, dadgummit, we got places in here where no sunlight's hitting the ground, and there's really nothing for the deer there. It's basically a travel corridor. There's nothing in there. And so Glenn and I got to talking about it and pulled the map out, and I said, man, let's go through and thin some stuff out, and not taking it all out,
right,
but creating places within there that you open up and let there be some vegetation, So and I think we're going to reap the rewards of that this year.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we're really lucky to like to have partridge pea and bicolor and just really good stuff that wants to grow natively around there. And the deer love it.
Yeah, there's some of the better biologists we've had on here say that the late summer and early fall burns will within 45 days be almost as good as, it's not quite as succulent as a food plot, but be really, you can establish something really succulent, like in an out of the way place for your deer. And you'll get a whole different set of, survivists. It'll be more legumes and forbs and good stuff that time of year too. We took Will Dixon a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about the different burns. That's what he does for a living. He said, man, not only would you see such a big difference in the plants that survive and come back in a summer burn or late summer burn. He was saying September. He said, you wouldn't believe the species of beautiful wildflowers you bring back too. Mm-hmm. He said, it's pretty dramatic difference.
And for somebody that hadn't burned, it's pretty amazing, because the day you burn it, you look at it and it's black.
Yep.
Of course, you come back the next day and there's nothing but turkey tracks in there, because they've been in there scratching, getting all the bugs that got burned up but you go back in 3 weeks and it's green as a gourd, bud. I mean, in a month, you never know you burned it.
It's the most vivid emerald green too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's beautiful green. Yeah.
So Jeff, y'all have got something called a roller chopper over there. I don't know that a lot of people know about that. I think it kind of originated in South Texas, if I'm not mistaken. But can you explain how that works? And do they make smaller units that an average guy could get and do that with?
I don't know the answer to, do they make smaller units? It was a big thing in Texas, and I noticed it when we used to go out there and hunt all the time. Was they would make that sendero through that
right
through that brush that they had, but it's these big drums. In our case, it's 2 sets of drums, and it has teeth on it, kind of like a big wedge. But as we were doing what I'm talking about doing, opening spaces up, you get in there and you have stumps and things, and you couldn't. It would take years before you could ever go back in there and plow it or think about turning it into a food plot. And so we got a roller chopper, and you fill those drums up with water, so it's like 40 tons. But as you roll it over those stumps, it just splits them. It splits them open.
Wow.
And I'll give you an example. So we went last year and went and cut pines. They had grown up, but we decided to reclaim a field that long time ago we used to hunt, and we took that roller chopper in there, And we just kind of broadcast seeded it, and we made a dove field out of it. And it was a good dove field. But good granny, trying to work it last year, it would beat you to death on a tractor. Well, so I go back in to plow it for the first time this year, and I had to call Glenn on the phone. I said, holy moly. I said, every one of these stumps has rotted away, and I ain't having a bit of problem plowing this field, which is crazy because we had cut it the year before. And so we kind of expanded that field this year, just ran the roller chopper over it a couple of weeks ago. And I know next year we won't have to broadcast seed it. We'll just go out there and plant it, with a planter, which is what we did with a regular dove field this year. So the thing that it's done, I'm not sitting there and waiting 3 or 4 years or 5 years for these stumps to rot like in a clear cut. I'm taking that roller chopper, and within the next year, I could plow and plant that acreage if I wanted to.
Wow.
Lanny, it takes a big machine to pull something that heavy.
Black Betty. I had the pleasure of driving Black Betty.
Black Betty, and hopefully the Hulk is going to do it too. So I'll have options.
Yeah.
Black Betty's a beautiful thing to look for sheds from too, Toxie, because you're way up there in the air.
Man,
and you can see shit long way away.
I know one thing. I looked at the size of the tires on that thing. You don't want to find a big 8-point with those tires, though.
Yeah.
Woo,
sir.
That'd be expensive.
No,
that'd be expensive.
Well, that's what made me decide to buy it. I bought it from a military surplus sale.
I remember.
And so you had to bid on it, and I said, let's bid $10,000 because I went online and looked, and those tires cost $4,500 a piece. I said, if it don't run, we can sell the tires and get our money back. Thankfully, we got it running. So
she's a beast, that's for sure.
You were talking about maybe a piece of equipment that could work that's a little bit smaller. Some folks use a KG blade on the front of a big dozer.
Mm-hmm. Those would be. I'd be concerned about a smaller tractor being able to really pull and get through something like that.
Busting up stumps and things like that. They may be a good way to do that.
Honestly, you're not telling people they got to go do their whole place in it necessarily, and just to do some postage stamp patchwork stuff. And hire somebody. They're going to charge you by the hour. They're going to be in there out. You don't have to even worry about owning the equipment. Mm-hmm. There's people that'll do that, So plus, honestly, if you've got good timber, you're going to make money on it. You're going to get more for your timber probably than it's going to cost you. So why not,
So Jeff, one of the things in the last few years, it seems like Toxie's he's really good at growing flowers. And I mean, has these beautiful bouquets.
Well, I just got through I kept the grandkids at our place in Alabama, which is up in the prairie pasture land, basically. And I just went around taking pictures. I mean, there was like 37 different kind of wildflowers there. And I brought a whole big bucket home, because my mom, that's where I got it from. She was a wildflower nut her whole life. And so I brought him, let her pick out what she wanted to make a big arrangement out of. But this is the coolest thing ever. The native wildflowers, really, there's nothing down there we really planted much. I do in my garden at home. Bobby, I was hit. We even had the flowers in front of the church a couple of times. And so Bobby's on the bandwagon with zinnias this year. He was calling me asking about planting zinnias. Well, that's why I love them. They're so easy to grow.
Well, so I was wondering, Jeff, over there, have you gotten interested in the wildflowers on your place?
Oh yeah, and zinnias like around our house there at the farm. Deer don't like zinnias.
That's right. That's one of the few things they don't like. Yep, they destroyed my whole house except for zinnias.
But the deer will leave them alone, and so I've started planting them there around our house at the farm because my wife loves flowers, and so I kind of find the stuff that deer don't like, and that's what I plant. And I don't know, like once you get into growing stuff,
yes,
it kind of goes to everything.
Like 100%.
When I plant I'm out there looking at plants, and it don't matter where they are, if they're in the garden, if they're in the nursery, but I look at them and go, are are you happy here? And I can look at that plant and go, because if you ain't happy here, I'm gonna move you somewhere else. I dig up a lot of stuff and move it somewhere else. I did that with fig bushes. Is I put them one place and they just weren't happy, and I'm like, all right, let's try something else. I dig them back up and go move them again. But plants will tell you what they want if you listen to them.
They'll
He's
show
right.
you. They'll show you. That's what Dudley and I talk about trees all the time. We feel like we grow the best seedling you can buy, but if you put the wrong tree on the wrong soil and place it unlike, it doesn't matter how quality it is, and you can take a really kind of crappy seedling and you stick it in the soil it really, really loves, it'll probably come on and do great. So it's so important to, put it where it wants to be. Exactly what you just said.
Yep.
Lanny, they say April showers bring May flowers.
That's right.
What do May flowers bring?
Pilgrim.
Yeah.
There you go, Jeff. I got him teed up right there.
I was going to say it brings me brownie points for the next hunting season.
Yeah.
That seems like we're still having
That's what I was
May
thinking.
showers
We're gonna
instead of
have
May
May
flowers.
showers.
Unfortunately, we have May tornadoes tonight.
Oh, it's been bad.
Yep.
It's been a bad year for that, man.
It's really bad. It's coming. Another one's coming. You may miss this one.
Tornado Alley has shifted on us, fellas. It used to be out there in Oklahoma and stuff. It's kind of dipped down into Arkansas and Mississippi and Tennessee now.
Yeah.
No, it has.
Kentucky. Yeah, it's a little above us, although we may get it tonight. But
Lanny, you got a question for him? Or you want us to go to trivia?
I said we go to trivia.
Let's go to trivia. Jeff, hang on. Now we're going to turn this over to Richie. Wake up, Richie. And we got a trivia question for you.
I'm alive and well over here, Bobby.
Do I win something?
Lanny, is this the week we give away $2,500?
I think we're giving away another measuring cup, aren't we?
Yes, a nutrient measuring cup can possibly be coming your way.
hey, you know what? That's pretty important because you put the wrong amount of chemical and you might kill everything.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm right.
All right.
Our winner this week is.
Well, hang on now.
Okay.
So Jeff, with apologies, our trivia question is brought to us by the Peanut Patch.
Yes.
They sell great boiled peanuts available in gas stations. They are grown in Georgia.
They sure are.
So we are giving a big shout out to the Peanut Patch. And guys, even though you don't like boiled peanuts, Jeff, which is a big surprise.
But I like every other kind of peanut. I just don't like them boiled. It's a texture thing for me.
Kind of mushy.
I've heard that a lot.
All right, Richie, go ahead.
All right. So, yeah, today's winner is Microphony 86.
Microphony.
Oh, Richie's got jokes now over there. How about that? Yeah.
Was that a real
No,
review?
that's Richie.
That sounds like something
It's a
Bobby
real
would.
review.
With it.
Microphony, antenna. I
Bobby
think
gave
that's
me this
Bobby.
note like right when we started here.
I think the E is silent if you want to know the truth. But
Microphone E.
Who won last week? Albino?
All right. So I guess technically today's real winner is M.O. Turkey Forrester.
yeah, he left a great review.
Yeah,
too.
nice review.
What did his review say?
Great show. Never gets boring. They cover a diverse range of topics, habitat, outdoor culture. The guests are always appreciative. And
we might have learned that this week.
And Dr. Chamberlain is the best example.
How about that?
Keep up the good work.
So his prize, he got a great prize.
Yeah, he got a full foliage short sleeve shirt.
How about that?
Oh, God.
Yeah, he didn't get no cut.
Fantastic.
Those are
Come
like
on.
hen's teeth this spring.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. The question of the week is, what state is the largest state east of the Mississippi River?
All right, we're looking at you, Jeff. This is all about you.
East of the
Is
Mississippi.
that to the left
River.
or the right of the river?
That'd be to the right.
And this is the guy that hosted Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader?
That's right. It depends on if you're going north or going south, Richie.
That's true.
I think he's.
Oh, good
Yeah.
one.
Is he Googling?
Well, we're south, so I guess.
Okay, we're looking up. So it's to the
Uh-oh.
right.
So, the largest state east of the Mississippi River.
So do you want that measuring cup or not?
We have a clue.
Give him a clue.
Do I get a clue or am I just guessing?
We got a clue here. What state? It's the state that has the largest swamp.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh,
man. Come on.
I think
Richie, that's
So I mean, it would be Florida, I guess, right?
See, that threw me off there too.
Oh, it'd be Georgia, though.
There it is.
Georgia.
Yeah.
Your home state.
I didn't realize Georgia was the largest state east of the Mississippi. Did you know that?
Well,
I did not know that.
I was thinking either like Missouri or Georgia or maybe Indiana or something. But my first thought was Georgia.
So that would have been embarrassing because Missouri's west of the Mississippi River.
That clue kind of throws it.
Oh, is it? Yes, it is.
Well,
You're right.
I might be embarrassing myself. Who knows? But,
No, it's just west. You're right.
I'm like mentally, I would. If you asked me that, I'd want to run to a map and start looking to know. Just eyeballing them.
So see, that's like when I was hosting the fifth grader show. People say, "What was your favorite part of that show?" I said, "The part where they handed me the card with the answers on it. 'Cause I didn't know any of that crap." So,
Oh my goodness! So, guys, our audience, I would encourage you that Jeff Foxworthy's got a website. I think it's jefffoxworthy.com. He travels, and on the weekends he'll have a show at a casino or some kind of stadium. They are so worthwhile to take your family to.
Oh my gosh.
No doubt about
I mean, you should go to his website and find when he's going to be anywhere within 4 or 5 hours of you, and you got to go.
So hopefully,
because Daddy's got a new tractor to pay for. Y'all need to go.
Oh man!
Yep. We were in elk camp and everybody go to bed. He's still awake. I looked over and he's doing these most amazing pencil sketch art you've ever seen. Are you still doing that? You never talk about it. Have you seen them, Bobby?
I have. Yeah.
It's crazy. It's so good.
Yeah, I still draw. That's one of them things people probably don't know about me. Yeah, my whole life I've drawn and painted, but I'm doing that. I still enjoy. People are like, "Why don't you retire?" And I'm like, "Cause I love what I do."
Exactly.
But I don't do as many shows as I used to. I'm happy as a clam sitting on a tractor or heck a lawnmower. It don't matter. I just like to be outside, and I got a grandson that's 4 years old that's the same way.
Wow.
And that's one reason we had to get this new tractor, because it's got a buddy seat in it.
There you go.
okay.
At the age of 3, he will sit in my lap, and I've taught him how to plow at the age of 3. He'll sit in my lap, and I'm like, "All right, you keep this tire on this line, and we'll go, and then we'll get towards the end of a row." And I go, "We got to slow down. What do you do?" And he goes, "Turtle, turtle, turtle." And he'll hit the turtle button and we'll slow down. So, it don't, and when I am doing that with him or teaching him walking, he ain't scared of the woods. We'll walk through and I'll tell him what different things are. And that is as happy as a man can get right there. Nothing in my life brings me greater joy.
That's incredible. So does everything you say is so, I hate to keep saying them like that, but like all weekend, this last weekend was T's 4, not 3. And we finally just got on the tractor for hours and hours. We were bush hogging, not disking.
Yeah.
But he's so content there. But does he ask you endless questions? That's the one thing about T, my grandson. He never stops asking you questions. And it was like, why this? Well, then you answer, but then why that? Then you answer, and why that? It just leads to more questions.
But I love that about him. I love, like Glenn was laughing, because we were up at the barn and we had that cutter head was up in the back of the barn, and he wants to know what everything is in the barn. And then when you tell him what it is, he wants to know what it does.
And how does it work? He's riding.
He's walking over there with Glenn, and he's like, "Mr. Glenn, what's that?" And he said, "That's a cutter head." "What piece of equipment does it hook to?" And Glenn goes, "Well, that one hooks to the skid steer." "What do you do with it?"
Exactly.
And he's like, "Well, you go in where you've got brush and you can turn, so." But I love that about him, that he wants to know what it does, So, and because he is the next gamekeeper of my place, right?
That's right.
That Granddaddy ain't gonna be there one day, and it's gonna be his call. And hey, we need to go in here and thin this plot here. We need to burn this here, and so I look at it, Toxie, a little bit like a relay race. I'm handing him the baton, right? So I I got to teach them all this stuff.
I think you just reminded us all of our highest calling is not growing the big deer, or even, just caring for the place that God blesses us with. It's like passing that baton is everything, in a myriad of ways. And the most dramatic, obviously, is our grandkids. But it's so funny you say that, because, like, everything's like, how's that work? Why does this do? Why does that? I mean, it's endless. And, like, so we got like a little electric Jeep thing the kids drive around in our yard. He literally will hang onto the steering wheel, hang his head all the way out underneath, bumping his head off the ground, looking underneath it, because he wants to understand what makes it work. Everything he's got to know what makes it. What makes it go? Yeah.
He and my grandson they'd be told, but because anytime you give him something new, he's got to flip it over and see how does it work. He and I love that about him.
Yeah.
I mean, he wants to watch you take off the bucket and put on the forklifts on the skid steer.
And they want to do it. Yeah, let me do it. Let me do it. Let me do it.
Jeff, do y'all have over there? Do y'all have a lot of crows on your farm?
We do. We do. Why are you
going with that?
Come on, Bobby.
Well, I was going to say that. Did you know that until we invented crowbars, that the crows had to drink by themselves?
Oh my gosh.
Man, he's just
He
throwing
is
them out there.
ruining this.
He's ruining this.
Man,
But he's having so much fun doing it.
Yeah.
He is having fun. He's entertaining. He's like the village idiot, just entertaining himself.
that is a great.
The man about town.
We just branded Bobby. That's perfect.
Okay. So as we wrap up, does anybody have something they want, a joke you want to tell to Jeff? I mean, top me.
I think you've handled that. I mean,
I'm gonna pass on that.
yeah. You've done a really good job, Bobby.
Yeah, you covered for all of us, Bobby. It's just amazing. I'm surprised he isn't going to take you on tour with him, Bobby. It'd be great.
Well, so I got
Hey, Bobby, I'll tell you a joke Leno told me, and it's easy to remember. Totally clean, you can tell it. Man and a woman married for 30 years. She passes away. At the funeral, as they're carrying her casket into the church, they cut it too sharp and they ram it into the corner. And when they do, they hear. They set it down, open it up, and she sits up. She stands up and climbs out the thing. She is alive, and she lives 30 more years. She dies again. They're carrying her casket into the church, and the husband goes, "Watch the corner. Watch the corner."
oh my goodness, he is so good.
They do 30 more.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Well, Jeff, we just absolutely enjoy.
Oh my gosh.
being able to talk to
every
you.
time we see you.
There's a special little spirit in the air whenever because it's such kindred spirits, and not just because of Jeff. It's Jeff, but then his whole way he rolls, his family, his best buddies.
Yeah,
it's
their whole crew is great.
And Toxie, I think that's part of why I'm so fascinated with Native Americans and get into that stuff, because a good place to live has always been a good place to live.
Yes.
Wow.
So anytime you're looking for artifacts, they live there because there was water, because there was shelter, there was food, it was a good place to live thousands of years ago, and it's still a good place to live now, and so, like, when I find something on my property, I think about, man, there was a dude sitting here beating two rocks together and had a campfire going, and probably had, he was burning because the Native Americans did control burns, and they, when they learned to plant and things, and not only is this a good place to live today, it was a good place to live thousands of years ago. And so, you certainly can't have a spirit of you own it like that.
No.
You've just been entrusted with it for a little while.
You're merely taking care of it.
I feel like if you start with a heart of gratitude and you're grateful for it, and you feel like it's a privilege to own it instead of like an entitlement, everything's going to be more fun, and you're going to do a better job taking care of it. You're going to probably do a better job growing your wildlife, whatever, big deer, turkeys, ducks, whatever, if you have that heart of gratitude, it kind of goes to everything in life, but especially that, he's exemplifies that thinking about it too. And the Indian thing is like, you think about where we are today. Back then, new technology was like, we're going from sandstone to flint. That's a big technology leap, And then you look at where we are today.
But that gratitude thing kind of works for everything in your life.
Absolutely. All day long.
And I keep, my life has always been note cards, but I keep note cards on my on my counter there in my bathroom, and I will go through about once a year. I'll make gratitude lists, just things that I'm thankful for, and some of them are just silly, like the smell of dirt, or the fact that the fact that my grandkids are healthy, or the fact that I got a bed to lay in at night. I ain't laying under a bridge. And when you view things like that, it's kind of, A, it's kind of hard to get depressed, and B, it's kind of hard to get angry when you realize if you've got an automobile, you're in the top 5% of the world. 95% of the people on the planet do not own an automobile. So if you take a shower, there's some people that never take a hot shower one time in their entire life. And so, I just try to remember that. I mean, I get in the shower and I'm like, man, thank you, God. Thank you. I can wash myself and get clean so I can go get dirty again. But some people never get to experience this. And I think that's one of the keys to life is having that thankful heart, that spirit of gratitude.
And, we're not ever. I know people take it wrong. They think we're preachy or something, but it's just, for me, it's not. It's just, it makes me cry more than anything when I see people wasting time. Because the one thing nobody can get back is time. It don't matter if you're Bill Gates or whoever. You're not going to get time back. And when the biggest waste of time is not living with a heart of gratitude. Think about that. If we could be at least a little influence on that for people to appreciate everything every day. Because the biggest thing we could do is help them not waste time. So, I mean, that's one reason why.
It ain't NASCAR. There ain't no practice lap.
No.
You got one lap around the track. You better make it count.
No mulligans.
No.
Wow.
Big time.
Well, Jeff, we are thankful for your friendship.
Yes.
And thankful for all you do.
It goes both ways, my friends. I always enjoy hanging out with y'all. I always enjoy talking to y'all. And there is a kindred spirit there. We don't see each other enough, but boy, we sure do like the same things.
They've heard me. Actually, I say that about Cuz because we're not doing stuff together constantly like we did once upon a time. But I might not even bump into him for like a month, and our relationship is right where it's always been.
Yeah,
that's
and
how it works.
That's the way it should be. Instead of like, you hadn't got to keep your hand on it all the time, or someone thinks you don't do this, or when wherever. And honestly, it's everybody. It's you. It's Glenn. It's Larry. It's Biggs. It's everybody. It's the same way. The relationship just instantaneously is right where we left it off, and that's a blessing right there too.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my goodness.
Baby, we're gonna find the baby. Come here.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
We do everything right here. Can you say hi to my friends? Yeah. And where are we going this weekend? To the farm. We're gonna play on the new tractor. Yeah.
Yeah, we heard he bought you a new tractor.
That's
How about
exactly
that?
right.
Yeah.
Where we got a new tractor. Yeah, we're excited about that, buddy. Yeah.
Wow.
Guys, God bless you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, big time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Stay in touch.
Yep. Guys, you can't help.
Good stuff.
No.
Yeah. Thank you. Guys, you can't help but enjoy being around.
Oh,
you.
it's just from the first word.
Oh, yeah. For sure. And so, guys, I would encourage you to go to jefffoxworthy.com and find when he's going to be even remotely close to you and go to one of his concerts. They're really good.
It's amazing.
Anybody else got anything that we didn't cover? I can't think of anything. Richie, you got anything?
No, we're good to go.
You don't have any more bad jokes?
No. Well,
One more, Bobby.
You know what?
I got one more.
Okay, I do have one.
Of course you do.
Cafro. Oh my gosh.
No, I'll save it for later. So,
got it.
guys, we appreciate y'all watching the television show. It's about to. So we're on Sportsman's right now, but in about a month,
Richie's gonna have us back on the
1st
OC.
of July. We'll be on the Outdoor Channel. Richie, gonna have some new shows.
Yeah, the countdown has begun.
Yeah.
And they're going to be good ones too. Yeah.
Yep.
So. All right, guys, this has been fun. Lanny.
Yeah, Bobby.
I always love talking to Jeff. Toxie,
No doubt.
he's so good. Cuz, thank you for coming down here.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, Dudley.
It did my heart good seeing the grandchildren thing and how they're focused on it. Because I just watched my oldest one graduate from Mississippi State. Oh, wow. It goes by in the blink of an eye.
Don't blink.
That's right. Watching Toxie fool with his now does my heart good. So.
I got about 3 weeks. I think.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, Daddy Bob will be in the house.
Yeah, that's right.
You just think you were a little nervous when y'all had some. Just wait.
Oh, he's been pacing back there. He
Yeah,
really
I
has.
am nervous.
I told that story. It made me leave the waiting room.
Is that right?
My wife said, "Just get out. We'll let you know when she has it." There you go.
But, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Why don't you say goodbye, Dudley?
Goodbye, Dudley.
Get us out of here, Richie.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Gamekeeper podcast. And be sure to tune in again. Subscribe to Gamekeeper Farming for Wildlife magazine and don't miss the Mossy Oak Properties Fistful of Dirt podcast with my good buddy, Ronnie Cuz Strickland.